Hello. The new points list for Genesys for March 2026 has just been released. This has been up for a little bit. I actually already recorded a video for this, put it up, but because my mic was broken, but I used a different mic for it, and the mic was awful, and I posted it, and then I got this mic to work. So I'm just going to do a retake, plus there's some extra things I kind of wanted to say that I forgot to say, so let's go through it. So I have gone through this, and I do have some thoughts, so this is my initial impression, but I've still got a bunch of thoughts to go over with everything. So starting off with Cool Tune, Clip and Q and Synchro or getting points increases is fine. I would have liked to send RS on this list at some point. Maybe not for the so the hand traps could have been saved a little bit and put those points into RS. But overall, I think Cool Tune needed points. I think this is one of the healthy things that they've done to this list. Same with Exorcist. I think this is fine. This is absolutely fine though. I would have liked to send Dimensional Shifter and Dimensional Fissure on this list at some point, but they're not mentioned at all. But as in terms of actual Exorcist cards, I think this is fine. I think Exorcist is a fine deck outside of those two dimensional cards I already mentioned. Now, here's my first big problem, is Monarch. So Zaborg has gone up to 100. In my previous video, I said Zaborg was 0. I looked up the wrong Zaborg when I was looking up the points for it. So the smaller Zaborg is 0 points, but Mega Monarch Zaborg was 80 up to 100. This is great. Soul Exchanger 3. They still have Stormforth, which is 0 points. And Steel Scene Sacrifice, this is like another extendee enabler card for the Monarch deck. I would have liked to send some level of points to the actual core engine of Monarch. I still think Monarch's going to be really, really good. They don't need to play Domain, they don't need to play the other Floodgate card, they don't need to play Zaborg. They are still a really good deck without any of those cards. And without any of those cards, their deck is 0 points. Apart from maybe Soul Exchange being the one pointed card, but that's like 9 points. I would have liked to send points onto the Squire that searches everything. That should have been pointed. Maybe the trap card that rewards itself, and maybe that one of the big monarchs, maybe the big divine monarch. I can't remember what it's called. The big, the big white one that's like that they can summon from hand on the opponent's turn. I would have liked to send some points added onto the engine, the actual core of Monarch. I still think Monarch is going to be a really, really safe bet going into this next format, and I don't see it that much changing. The only difference is I'm going to rip your Extra deck. That's the only difference. They can still handle loop you to fuck though. Don't worry. Radiant Typhoon Vision, I was expecting this to go to 5, but I'm happy with this at 10. This deck has been one of the best decks since Genesis came out. They should have been pointed last points list, major points list. To 10 though, this makes them choose between this or Sheena. This is basically a 3-off in Radiant Typhoon and makes it unplayable in anything that isn't Radiant Typhoon. I'm fine. This is great. I'm fine with this. Now, I have a bit more to say about Archmage and Medius because I play that deck. We were all expecting Medius to get points. There was no reason to add Assault to 3 points, or even Alteration to any points. And Theory realizes basically this is a dumb, stupid thing to do. The Theory realized specifically because there are 10,000 other ways to search Medius in this game. If you're playing Archmage, Fusion Deployment. If you're playing anything else, Hero Lives into Prisma sends Medius to grave for cost of effect. E-Emergency Call also just gets you there too. There's a bunch of different ways to search out Medius. So hitting Assault doesn't really matter. All this does is stop you from. You just run this at 1 and search this card off Graphlers to search your Medius. Instead of just using it as a starter, just run extra Grappler so you can get to this, which will get you to Medius. Like, there's like 10,000 ways. Also, I'm putting together a branded a mage deck, and Branded Fusion sends Medius too. So there's like a bunch of ways. So this I wasn't running anyway. Fusion Deployment does this job in pure Mage, and there's 10 other cards that do this in Doomsy and Elf Knight. And Elf Knight and Doomsy are only running these cards to search Medius, and they've got other ways to do it anyway. Well, this card to search Medius and do it anyway. This is just an army chip for no reason. And this doesn't matter. You just run Medius at 2 and run 50 other ways to search him. This is a mess. Specifically on our mage, this doesn't matter. All this does is add 9 points to our mage. This and not touching Non-Finito to bring it down is crazy. Non-Finito should have been brought down to like 5 or 7 points. 15 points for Non-Finito is way too much. But I don't think they've rebalanced anything that they mentioned in BitPro. But they need to be faster on these point updates to bring them in line, and not just go off Flood's fast. I'll save some rest at the end. Got some Dracotail hits. Hopefully this points them out completely. I'm not entirely sure, but they were at like 83 points for the full package of Dracotail stuff. So this bumps them up a bit, but I'm still surely this is playable. But they basically have 0 other cards now, so. If you really wanted to play Dracotail, you still can. I still think it's really, really strong. I still think it's one of the best, especially when there isn't Ash to stop you or Imperms to stop you. The only real difference is that you're just less likely to draw Fimina, so you're not going to be able to like Fimina to turn 0, basically. White Forest hit. This seems a little bit random. I know White Forest is doing pretty good, but they just get 1 random card up. Sure. This seems like a lot of points added to Punk. I don't think Punk is that good compared to Monarch or Kultun. I don't think all of these points are super necessary. I think Monarch is way more powerful than like pure un-degen Monarch is better than Punk. And this gets more points. It doesn't make any sense, but I understand why these cards are good. But nobody's gonna play Punk if it's too expensive. Just play pure Psychic with Shirakusai and Wagon. If you want to run this deck, just run that with maybe a Zeoman too. And like maybe you don't need to run these cards. Just play a Psychic deck. And you can still use all these cards. It's crazy. It's crazy. Regenesis hits. This just hits Vanquish Soul basically. These cards are really, really strong, and they just reborn themselves over and over again. Not much to say about this apart from this is a good change. I like this. Now, this is all mostly Kultun's fault. I can see Morna going up to 5. I understand this one. It is just a cheaper effect veiler for the most part in Genesis, so I understand this. Ghost Ogre does not need to go up to 4. Ghost Spell could have stayed at 5. Veiler should have stayed at 7. This is negligible. This doesn't really matter. Most people, if you could afford to play Ash at 15, you can probably afford to play Ash at 20. And why the fuck do they point Troll down? So the philosophy of Genesis is if people aren't playing it, we'll bring them down. If people are playing it, we'll bring them up. Which I think is not a great way to be running the points list at all, because we're just going to be ping-ponging between points on basically. Especially these hand trap cards, and I'm sure some other cards fall into this too, where they're just going to be ping-ponging between point values over and over again, which is really stupid. They should be looking at which cards are providing unhealthy gameplay patterns and pointing those cards, and which cards are overperforming and pointing those cards, and not just what's being played. Because I don't think Morna is unhealthy. I don't think Ogre is unhealthy. I don't think Veiler is unhealthy. I think Droll is extremely unhealthy. Which is crazy. So now we get to side deck cards that got points for random reasons. DD Crow to 1. This is stupid. Like what? This is just why. And same with Cosmic Cyclone. This is why. Why did they do this? This is like people running them because they were free and good. Guess what? They're just going to find the next best free and good card. Like, these aren't unhealthy cards. These are perfectly fine being in the game at 0 points, and people playing them is totally fine with running with these cards. Like if you lose to a DD Crow, like get a better deck. Like if your deck loses to one, yeah, it can hinder you and it can stop your play and it can weaken your board. But if you are losing to one DD Crow or one Cyclone, it's not good. These are fine at 0 points. They were just 1 because people played them. They're the most played, and that's stupid. Dark Ruler and Ulti Slayer, I can kind of understand the points a little more so, just because they are cards that can't be responded by monster effects. Though I don't know why they added a bunch of points to the Ulti Slayer target cards and not to Ulti Slayer itself, because it doesn't really matter, because Ulti Slayer can send like a bunch of good cards anyway. You don't need to send these 3 cards. You can send any other card, and there's some other good cards that get good value. So, from being sent, namely, there's a bunch of branded cards you can just send, which will have effects if you're playing branded. There's the Centurion Pack Bit, or whatever it's called, which is basically like really good anyway. Like, there's a bunch. So I don't know why they should have just put Ulti Slayer at 3 and left the rest of the cards alone. If they were going to point out. That makes 0 sense. I like to it. Yeah, it's just to stop it from being like an auto include staple, which I kind of get. But like, the point distribution on it's weird and doesn't make any sense. Mistaken Arrest should be whatever draws at Mistaken Arrest should just be played at. Mistaken Arrest is just draw, but only going first. If it was only going second, I wouldn't mind it as much. Being at 10, but it is only going first card, which is basically troll, and is an auto win card. And there are a bunch of other auto win cards that aren't seen on this list, like Gravity Collapse, Dimensional Fissure, Soundproof, just to name a couple. That haven't been touched at all, which makes 0 sense. A bunch of these auto win off the shelf, off the wall like staples from like 10 years ago that people are picking up because they're basically free and they're not being touched. So if you go fast and draw them, you basically win the game. So there's a bunch of those cards that I'm missing. Now we got some staples that are on hit, which for the most part I am fine with. Book of Eclipse to 3, this is good. Book of Moon to 4, I think this is very, very good. This seems like a much more card that you want to look into more. Dark Hole to 1 is crazy. You can play 3 Dark Holes for the same price as 1 before. I think this is a really good pickup if you've got 3 points to spare. I don't think running 3 Dark Holes is bad. Raigeki to 4 is also very good. Daruma Cannon could have stayed at 3. I think this card is very, very strong. Keeping this at 3 would have been totally fine, I think. People weren't playing it, but I think people were playing this originally for Liga. Liga's still being played because they got pointed. So this has gone down, but there's still outs like Pep, and Pearly, I can't remember the name, Pearly Noir, whatever the fuck it's called. Any other Towers card that's out. Same with Evenly. I think Evenly's could have stayed at 10, but 7 makes it that more appetizing to play. I don't hate Evenly at 10, at 7. Impalm to 12, this is kind of a whatever change, doesn't make any sense. Anchortops, this might being seen played now, but the problem is it's a side deck card and people don't want to put points in the side deck. If they're putting 100 points in the deck, they want to see it from game 1 and don't want to not have it. And that's the main problem with this. Kaiju Slumber, people want to start playing this now as like a off-the-wall kaiju thing. Like, interestingly, they said they're going to point all the cards that get played the most, but this is the only kaiju card that got touched and this got put down. None of the actual kaiju cards got pointed at all. So, like, so they're not pointing all the most popular cards, because otherwise they would have pointed the kaijus. But the kaijus are kind of necessary to stop some, because they're really good breakers. Meows to 2, I think this might be a sleeper pick, depending if Magnet Warrior remains as good as it is. Magnet Warrior isn't touched on this list at all, which is fucking crazy, because nobody played it at any of the lists. Yes, well, some people did, but it didn't do really well. But since then, everyone has been playing it because people realized how strong it is, and it is by far probably the best deck now that Kult's been kicked, and it is 0 points. And they summon a lot from the grave, so Meows might be a good pick into that. And Schoolmaster is also free, and then you have a lot of graveyard effects. But just be careful that basically Magnet Warrior's best deck. Meows can probably circumvent that a little bit. I think Void's also still pretty good into Magnet Warrior, and I don't think Nip's too bad, but again, a lot of the best decks can't afford to play those cards anymore, which is kind of sad. Probably coming down by 1 point. I'm not sure this matters that much. Heavy Storm to 6, this definitely seems like a lot more appetizing, being wanted. I don't know the exact word, but you might want to play Heavy Storm now. Feather Duster, I don't think there's any point in playing Feather Duster over Heavy Storm. If you're playing Feather Duster, this is the first thing you do on your turn anyway, so you might as well just play Heavy Storm. Lightning Storm, I still think this is too many points to warrant being used, but I think that's fine. I don't think Lightning Storm's that good for the format as a whole, so I'm fine with this at 12. If you can afford to run Lightning Storm, your deck has a lower power level unless your name is Magnet Warrior or Monarch. So I'm fine with this being at 12. Ginger Fart, and these last 3 basically are just whatever points. They just reduce them by 1 for whatever reason. People just stop playing them, so you're going to bring them down until people play them. These cards might as well be free. Well, maybe not free, but these cards can, all 3 of these could probably be stuck at like 3 points if you perfectly find that. Free would be too strong, but at like 3 points each, these are fine. Now we got a bunch of engine cards, that got unhit. So Hacker Hands, I did not know what these are, forgive me. The Hacker Hands, nobody played this deck. He's got pointed on Phantom Revenge launch and nobody played it. Well, some people did. But basically 0. This is a pretty strong unhit. But Hero got a bunch of new cards, none of them are hit. Dark Lord is very playable, especially now Stratos is at 0. You can definitely play Dark Lord. If you go unimpeded on your turn, you can just summon Dark Lord. But if they're playing Dark Lord, that's basically all their points. So if you have an out for Dark Lord, you are good to go basically. Now you can just kaiju over the Dark Lord and it's basically gone, and that's all of the stuff gone. But this deck is probably gonna Heroes in Genesys is probably gonna be so being played. They also have Omni Negate, which is unpointed. On field Omni, they have to target the card. And way more searchable mass change, so watch out for Hero. Vikings, basically, they were played a little bit, but I'm assuming this is probably going to help Viking out a little bit. Gigantic Sprite, I know nothing. I think maybe Mimical was playing this, I can't remember. Sword Soul, Voiceless Voice, wrote it down by 2 points, makes no sense. Also Dig, Miscellaneous Stories to help out some Dino strats, maybe, though I think 67 for a one-of, which you need to see, is a lot. And then Dragon Rulers all coming down, they were all just pointed too much if we wanted to see them. That's fine. Now we've got some the maze cards that which are a bit later getting points on. Demod to 15. It's a bit more than I would have thought. I was expecting this to go to like 5, but and Gaze to 1 is fine. This is just to stop Dragoon basically, and forces Demod to just kind of sit in Dark Magician decks. So you can still play a pretty good Dark Magician deck, and there's a bunch of good cards Demod can go into still, but they're all a lot more Dark Magician focused. whereas Dragoon is people were just running 100-point Dragoon decks, so this just kind of stops that. Even though that deck was kind of bad because it just disappears at the end of the turn. So if you Dark Roller the Dragoon or Kaiju over it, they wasted all 100 of their points. So, but yeah, I'm fine with this. Mechanico, nobody was playing. Well, some people were playing this deck, but this is just like a lot of points onto the Mechanico deck, and like nobody was really playing it anyway. I don't think it was that super strong anyway. Because there are a bunch of equip spells, you can just ping them as soon as they start trying to attach them to things with like MSTs, like MST is still free, or Cosmics, or any other kind of back row removal card. You can just remove all of that shit. Sandwich Day, I have no idea what this card actually does. I know people thought it was cool. It's great. Notably missing from these maze cards is all of the Magnet Warrior cards and Illusion Gate. I'm very scared about those cards. All three of those, all of those cards. Magnet Warrior clearly just escaping this list, I think was scary to me. I do not want Genesys to become running the most current deck that has like the newest deck that has not been hit by the points list yet. And I'm scared that's what the meta is going to be. Because right now, that's going to... If you think about it, the meta decks that we've had so far throughout Genesys have all been decks from within the last year, or have seen updates within the last year. So all the media decks from the last year: Radiant Typhoon, Mono got support about a year ago as well. Magnet Warrior. Like if I think about it, has there been any deck that's older than that? I was gonna say VS, but VS got Holy Suits Mewtwo, right? But yeah, I'm scared that Genesys is just gonna play the newest deck that avoids the point list. Which it might very well become. That's why every set that comes out with any new card, we need a list of cards on it when the set comes out. Or if they don't want to point anything, they need to make a statement saying that they're not pointing anything, so we know it's intentional that they haven't. Because Magnet Warrior is clearly going to be the best deck in Genesys. I'm telling you that now. They have a circular which sends 2 to grave for summoning condition, not even for cost. From deck. Whereas Branded Fusion sends 2 to grave for 40 points from deck. And I know Branded Fusion's a very strong card, and at least like very strong cards. And it deserves maybe not exactly 40, maybe 35, maybe. But why do Magnet Warrior get like that kind of freedom, that free value for 0 points is beyond me. That card should be like 10 points each. I can't remember the exact name, they all got regular names, but it's the one that sends 2 for summoning condition. You know what it is if you played against it. The last parts here are just FTK cards. So upstart to trade in, this is all just Exodia bullshit. Apart from maybe Dark Lord Itchild. I think Dark Lord's also gonna be a really good card. A pretty good deck. Because they can play the Herald of Orange Light and Herald of Green Light, which are free hand traps that negate spells and traps or monsters. You're basically playing free Delta and free Gamma inside of Dark Lord, and when you pitch, you got to pitch a card along with those Herald cards, but they want to be pitched to grave. So this card's gonna be really good just because it gets 3 really strong hand traps, which are out of archetype. Wow. I would be. Speaking of which, orange, this Herald card should have been on this list at like 5 or 6, or maybe even like 7 points each. If Delta's 7 points, why isn't Green Light 7 points? It doesn't make any sense. We got Raiders Night. This lets you get to Art Rebellion and just head over and just win the game. This is justified, but I'm sad. I was running this card in both Blackwing and in Archmage, but yeah, this makes sense. This is the same kind of card as this, and these cards are just auto win cards. So these are all just FDK cards, and these are all just Exodia drawing cards. These cards can all fuck off. This is fine. But yeah. So a lot of I'm fine with like the cartoon stuff's good, the Exorcist stuff's good. I am fine with the Archmage stuff. It is a bit sad to see this card get points, but the rest of it I am totally fine with. Finally, Vision getting points. Like these engine cards, I am mostly fine with getting. It is all good. This is a bit iffy to me. The only one I kind of agree with is like Ash Blossom, but that's just because nobody's playing this anyway. If you could afford to run 15-point Ash Blossom, you can probably afford to run 20-point Ash Blossom, that's fine, but I don't know. And maybe Morna going up to 5 is fine. The rest of these did not need to be changed at all. This is mostly makes zero sense to me. I understand Dark Roll, I understand Ulti Slayer, though the point should have been Ulti Slayer, not the targets. This card should be whatever the point strolls at, this card should be at. So this should be at 20. These cards make zero sense. These cards I think I am mostly all good with. These aren't really being played. These are being brought down to be played, but trying to see if they do get played. I think for the most part this is all good. This is just all engine cards nobody's playing, so this is fine. I'm fine with this. Yeah. The big thing is there are a bunch of cards that are missing from being pointed on this list, and that's the big problem. There's a bunch, as I said a couple times throughout this video, but there's all of the OTK like skip turn cards that kind of join Mistaken Arrest. Mistaken Arrest is just the one that got hit. Gravity Collapse, Dimensional Fissure, Shed Ride to a degree. There's a bunch of these cards, right? Which are just basically Soundproofed is another one. Sorry. There's a bunch of these cards. I've just dodged this list, which should have been on this list like 20 weeks ago, and just haven't. And Magnet Warrior just dodging this list completely is crazy. I hope that in like next week they put a little asterisk at the bottom of this list with a bunch of the Magnet Warrior cards on, after some feedback. So hopefully this video sees Konami in some way. I don't know, if you like, subscribe, like and share the video, leave a comment with something that you would have liked to see on the list, boost it up a bit. Maybe Konami would hear the feedback. But Magnet Warrior, every set should be hit the day it comes out, not wait a week, like a month, and see what everyone's degenerately doing, and then just not hit them anyway. Yeah, the pumpkin stuff didn't get hit because the pumpkin stuff isn't that good. The Magnet Warrior stuff is really good. And I just hope that they like next list, the VIPPro list, they make a big change to the list, and I want to see like 100 cards just get added to the list that were all degen, turn skips or OP shit. But yeah, if you want to stay tuned though, if you want to subscribe, I'm working on an Archmage branded list, which I've already put some thoughts into what I'm going to cut based off this list, based off these Archmage changes, because I don't think Archmage kind of stands by itself as much anymore. So I'm working on Archmage branded. So let me know if you want to see that, and hopefully this is better than the shitty mic version. All right, bye.